Chaos. It's a bloodbath. The flood doors are now open, and British-made television is about to be shaken up so radically that I doubt if we'll recognise it again if we went back to the UK, you and I. And if it weren't, that's of course if it weren't for the reruns on the telly. The writing was on the wall when we did a podcast in January about how Coronation Street was finding it tough and losing a fair amount of its cast because of cash flow problems. I mean, a program like Coronation Street
Yeah.
run so long. Then more recently, Loose Women had to tighten their belts a little, and reduce the amount of time they would spend on screen, along with Lorraine Kelly, who doesn't seem to be taking it on the chin very well. And there's a definite cut in salary on the way, by the way, for everybody involved.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There were shake-ups on the morning shows too, as everything seemed to go pear-shaped after Philip Schofield had to leave because of certain indiscretion, should we say. He left.
Yes.
Now it too is beginning to flounder. The news sector didn't miss out, as Sky News is in serious trouble and is being threatened to being shut down if Rupert Murdoch won't buy the whole Sky franchise because of its existence. Not even GB News was able to slip under the radar, as the Andre Neil baby is not supporting heavy losses. Recently, Dan Wootton informed the public that one of GB News' nightly programs for semi-retired comedians was to end, and that Patrick Christie was to fill in the void. Patrick Christie, he does a show for 2 hours.
Yeah.
He's going to do 3. Wootton blamed Christie for the change, saying that behind closed doors the environment was toxic, as it probably was when he, Wootton, along with a whole host of other presenters, were let go. Coming to Christie's aids a little bit, but very damning for GB News, Alex Phillips from Hot Rival Talk TV said there's a strong possibility of GB News closing down altogether, as insiders have told her that financial losses are severe. She added that GB News is hiring new faces, she said, like 19-year-old sixth formers,
Okay.
to cut the costs and to try and stem the flow, but it seems it isn't getting any more secure.
Mm.
Talk TV in itself is losing a bit of its luster, as over the weekends it just seems to show repeats of programs, all apparently with Mike Graham in them for some reason. Could it be that Talk TV's days are numbered, or will they pull a rabbit out of the hat? So what is causing all this contagion of cutting staff and reducing hours and even closing down? Well, the most obvious answer would be, of course, money. But of course, that's too obvious.
Yeah.
Right? It's what generates money, and that would be the advertisers or lack of therein.
Mm.
Following the chain, what brings in the advertisers? Why would the advertisers?
Well, because they get views. Yeah.
The TV viewer is
Mm.
what brings the advertising in. If the viewership is down, there's a tendency for the advertisers to stay away. So why the viewership going down? The viewer wants to be entertained and informed.
Mm.
So when ideology comes into play, either way you look at it, whether you're left leaning or
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
leaning,
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. You're going to lose half your audience.
Mm.
If you start to go down, and if you more, so if you start to go down the woke road,
Yeah.
just ask the people on Doctor Who.
I'm mourning that, but yeah, we'll move on to that. Yeah. Yes, I know.
There you go.
Well, okay. Um, I've actually spoken to some people in the industry here in Brazil. It's the same. They got the same issues. Okay. There are people who, yeah, were talking to me as a client, effectively. Yeah, looking to learn English or practice their English and move on to other places. The Brazilians have been sensing a shift in viewing habits even in Brazil. Yeah, they've been looked at for years. I mean, used to be the mainstay of. I'm going to use Brazil as a model here because it's one I know it's an alternative to the UK. Yeah, so we look at it. The Brazilian mainstay of Brazilian TV, mainstream main TV, was news and novellas. Yeah, novellas are like long, shorter soap operas in effect. Yeah, yeah, short stories. Yeah, 3 month, 6 month stories. Um, and yeah, the way they do it now, Brazilians used to have the TV on from first thing in the morning until last thing at night. Yeah, the TV was on all the time, and that was it. And the families used to watch novellas together. They used to watch the evening news. Certainly, they got daytime news. This is probably on now. We're recording this. No, I don't see it, but they had local news. Then they had main news, and that is still true today. The viewing on the main TV channels has been going down. The ones that can afford it, the big TV channels have been investing heavily with digital platforms. Yeah, and these digital platforms are not necessarily for news and novellas. They're for entertainment shows and some factual, but there's not many factual programs in Brazil. Anyone at the moment that's, how can I put it? And again, in the UK, so just comparing in the UK, it's like you're saying, um, used to be famous for drama. The BBC was famous for documentaries and dramas, if you like, quality. Yeah. Um, yes, the documentaries are not as good as they were. Let's put it that way. They seem to be, well, they make world class. A lot of the documentaries the BBC make more money being shown around the world with BBC enterprises than they do with the domestic market. So they're made with half an eye on that now. How long that will last, I don't know. Um, the You mentioned BBC and Doctor Who. I mean, yes, I've got a sentimental feel about Doctor Who. I used to watch it as a child. When I was last in the UK, I tried to watch some channels. Some of sorry, not some of the episodes. It's lost a little bit of its sheen. I thought, am I getting older? Is it no longer relevant for me? Then I came here and I used Tubi. On Tubi, if anyone's interested, they got vintage Doctor Who's, and I watched some of them. And I thought, well, no, okay, the special effects aren't there, the budgets weren't there, but they were far superior character development and storylines. But it was woke. It's what we consider woke now. It talked about the environment. It talked about relationships between people and etc. etc. But it wasn't in your face. Okay. So again, yeah, I'm diversing, but yeah, I'm sort of saying what's happened with Doctor Who, it has gone totally agenda driven, which given the people behind it in the past have done some good quality productions have suddenly gone crazy. Now, whether they're going eventually caved into what their paymasters want, yeah. Um, it is big business. There's a lot of money being spent into these programs, which are failing as well. The BBC is spending a lot of money on dramas that don't have the viewing figures. The other thing that's happened now is we've got so many alternatives as well for opinions. I mean, anyone who's mainly would probably watch Talk TV or BBC 24-hour news items about opinions will probably start tuning into people like us who have a very, very small production budget, but we like to think that we reach out, we express our own opinions. Yeah, there are times that Steve and myself disagree, and people are watching channels like us more and more. Yeah, sometimes to be informed, possibly to be entertained. I think Steve and myself are actually, yeah, if you're by yourself, we're good company on occasions. Yeah,
Well, careful what you say there.
yeah, yeah. But we are what we are. There's no pretense with us. You can agree or disagree with us. We don't have any paymasters or anyone else at the moment. Yeah, nobody sponsors us. Again, the problems with these channels are GB News actually produces quite a good product. The problem is they lost a lot of revenue, broadcasting revenue from the beginning when they were boycotted by all the major people that would normally probably put adverts on.
I think basically the problem with television
Mm.
is that it's very expensive.
Yeah, yeah,
And to make a production on even a basic television program, if you look at the credits at the end
mm,
and you see how many people are involved,
mm.
and then you come down to what you and I are doing, and if you rolled up any credits, they'd just be for us too,
Yeah,
right? Uh, all right, you can have a big set if you like, but not a lot of programs don't justify having such a big set and by having so many people
yeah,
and so many cameras and so many technicians and
yeah.
makeup artists and
Mm.
script writers and you know a lot of programs don't
No,
deserve. I think it's a bad word.
well, it's not required. It's a yeah, do not require it, not deserve
Yeah,
it. Yeah, I mean,
you know, and
it's a
so they're just top heavy. They
yeah,
just got it's too much money for what it is.
yeah. I mean, okay, we do a production here. Our investments are our sound equipment, our cameras, and our PC, which we'd have anyway because we live in the modern world. Um, and yeah, we sit here for 20 minutes or however long, if our podcasts are, we do it. Yeah, Steve does the research. Steve is the researcher. Yeah, I do the production, the producing, and we share.
We'll have to put credits scrolling up the screen, right?
I might do it for this one, just to make it.
Something else for you to do.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Yeah, yeah, you're very good. Yeah, you're loading me. I'll now have to employ an assistant. I'm sorry. Yeah, and then they'll need an assistant. Yeah,
Of course. Well,
yeah, and then we'll need a production assistant, and then we'll need marketing, and then we'll need
somebody else to carry the bags.
yeah, yeah. I mean that's exactly what happens. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
even here there have been some of the TV companies have been laying off people quite
yeah,
heavily,
awesome. Yep, yep, yep.
and it came as a shock to a few. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, yeah, they streamed down, but they have invested heavily in the digital channels, and in digital, I don't think you need as many people. If we can produce a 20-minute, half an hour, even 40-minute production during what we do, yeah, and low tech, it's not low tech what we do. I mean, I use freebie software as well to do it on, but yeah, it's licensing and everything else. But if I was to, yeah, use it too commercially, but it's the easiest thing to do now for small people like us. I
And
don't.
some people would argue that our production is it's low tech,
Well, I'm
but
glad
the
it's yeah,
same but the
yeah,
same people who say this, it was good enough for them to watch
yeah.
to come to
Um,
that conclusion.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're two guys sitting having a conversation. Steve keeps you informed. He comes and brings information, even to me sometimes. Um, I like to ask the right questions. And we make up to half an hour show, effectively a mini show that you hopefully get something from. Um, I've seen other podcasters who've evidently gone into big time production,
Yeah,
employing
yeah,
every.
too heavy, too top heavy again.
Yeah, we don't make any money at the moment. We do. I mean, if you subscribe, you will help us eventually. Yeah, we will survive on popularity, or not. I mean, I'll just talk little bit about the way that TV is. It's relevant to us. We don't need a big production staff. In fact, I would hate it because, quite frankly, yeah, if I had somebody else involved telling me what to do and not do, Steve and myself have enough sometimes discussions between ourselves about things. Yep, and it's sometimes quite interesting. Um, we don't really have an agenda. Yeah, I would say, and ultimately, somebody can set up their own channel, say what they want. I've just said in the previous one about activism and everything else. Somebody can set up their own channel and find their own audience.